Hi everyone, I'm Chyill and welcome back to another video of mine. And today we'll be taking a look at the 0.12 patch that just got released for Battlerite, like I think last night. For me, it's last night. But anyways, so this patch brought about like quite a lot of changes. If you know, I actually posted up my Jumong guide like a few days ago, and it was literally like a few hours before they posted up about this update. And effectively, making my Jumong guide pretty much outdated within a few hours. But either way, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to discuss about the 0.12 patch and sort of like talk a little bit about my thoughts and opinions on just sort of the things that have been changed and what I think will happen like in the next patch and stuff like that. So let's just get straight into it. Starting off, as you can see here, they have a new map. So the new map's called Dragon Garden. They tried to make this like a very big map so that it can cater towards like 3 versus 3s and all that, because some people felt like the maps were a little, like the existing maps before this map was a little bit small and it can feel a little chaotic when you're playing 3 versus 3. And so that's why they came up with this map, which I have played like I think 3 or 4 games on it so far. I'm quite okay with it. It looks quite nice, like aesthetically and everything. It looks very pleasing. My only complaint is that the floor is actually very bright. So certain attack animations, like Varesh's mouse one, for example, is almost invisible if you are, if that's not the focus of your eyes, right? If you're looking somewhere else and it's just in your peripheral vision, it can be a bit hard to see some of those animations. So that's one of my complaints. Another one of my complaints is that maybe they could have added a little bit more walls in the middle. I know it's supposed to be a 3 versus 3 map, but like it's kind of empty in the middle, and a lot of heroes or champions have like mechanics where they need to knock someone into the wall and stuff like that, and I think they are a little bit disadvantaged in this map because of that. Like, they don't have to be very big walls, just maybe small tiny walls that people can juke around a little bit, and yeah, those sort of stuff. Melee champions feel a little weak in this map. So those were just some of my little complaints, but I mean, I'm sure they can improve and tweak the maps as needed. Maybe future maps can be better designed, I guess. But that's just my thoughts. So just take it with a grain of salt. Next up, they have a Shifu graphical update. So Shifu looks a bit cooler now, and he has his new outfit. I usually go more into gameplay and stuff like that, so I won't talk too much about cosmetic things, and so we'll just leave it as that. It does look quite nice though, I would say. I don't mind having one. But anyway, with this patch, it's the end of season 2 and the start of season 3. So if you are looking to climb to higher ranks and stuff like that, here's a new season and you can do that. I won't say too much about it other than the fact that there's now a win streak bonus. So if you win a lot, you will naturally climb faster, and I think that's a good thing and a bad thing as well. The good thing is that you get placed at your appropriate rank faster, but the bad thing is that if you're playing 2s, like in a team of 2s or 3s, and you are getting carried by your teammate, then I guess you will obviously be placed in a rank greater than what you are, but at least but I suppose that's why they have a team rank and a solo rank. Next up, I think this is quite a big change. They make like stealth mechanic changes, and so what actually happens is that when a person is stealth, so like Rook or Jade for example, and enemies will have like a little eye indicator on top of them that indicates like how far away is Rook or Jade, for example, away from you. Like red color means like they're really close to you. So this makes it very, very hard for Rook to land the stun, because the moment someone sees, oh shit, the eye is red in color, means Rook is nearby, they would use a knockback ability or they would use an escape ability, and so this makes it very hard to play Croak. But we'll just have to see, you know, where this goes. I'm sure this system is not final because it seems like it's a pretty big thing for certain champions like Croak. For like, he's the best example. And so yeah, I'm sure they will change it up a bit more. We'll just have to see what the final result is eventually. Next up, we have Jumong. Previously, he's like one of the most overpowered. You know, he was very strong, certainly. I don't think he was like so strong that he has to be, you know, he has to be played all the time. I thought he was actually in an okay spot. Like, certainly his numbers could have been tweaked, like, you know, they could be a bit lower and stuff like that. Didn't think that he really need to be reworked entirely because I actually quite enjoyed his playstyle. Certainly he was a bit too strong in the sense that he can survive a lot of things, and he dealt like a lot of damage at range. So certainly he had to be nerfed a little bit. But after this rework, I've played a few games with him, and my initial thoughts is that I think they went a bit too far. It is more interesting to play, I would say. And I think I quite welcome the rework after playing it and trying it out a little bit. The whole sustained playstyle is quite nice. But what I didn't like is that he is super, like, really weak without energy and without weapon charges. So before this, he at least has his Q, which was the prowl, and his space to get away, like in the early parts of the game where you didn't have any weapon charges and you didn't have any energy. But right now, without any energy, he can't use his prowl, which is now his R, and all he has is just a single space. A lot of champions has more than one way to close the gap, and so the moment he uses his space, he's pretty much screwed if both enemies jump onto him and stuff like that. So he's very susceptible to being jumped and being ganked, like, you know, just pressured. He is very susceptible to that at the start. Once he does get a bit of energy and weapon charge, he can perform as normal. But he does rely a lot on hitting his Seeker's Mark now, because if you didn't know, his Seeker's Mark has been changed and it no longer causes incapacitate, but instead now consuming the Seeker's Mark heals him for 10 health. Without access to so many survival abilities as before, certainly the sustain will help. But he is still very weak without his weapon charges, and when you know he doesn't have any energy, he is just really weak. And there are times like you could run out of energy and you could run out of weapon charges, and if the enemy can identify that, you are going to get screwed as Jumong. So yeah, they did change his mouse 1 damage a little bit. They messed around with the cooldown, so it shoots faster now, but it deals a bit less damage. He has a new EX mouse 1. They updated his EX mouse 2. So previously it was an EXQ, but now they changed the old EX mouse 1 to his EX mouse 2. It deals a bit more damage, since previously that skill was mostly quite useless. It's called Seeker's Arrow. It was mostly quite useless, and now it actually deals pretty good damage. They swapped the Q and the R. So now his Q is Rain of Arrows. Previously it was his R. And but of course it deals a lot less damage, and instead it gains him energy now instead of making him lose energy. You know, just minor changes here and there for each of his abilities, and then they changed up a lot of his Battlerites, of course. I wouldn't go into too much detail into all that. I'll save that for a guide video because it's just a lot to talk about. But what I would say is that I think that he is in a spot which is quite interesting now, because he's a lot more interesting to play, which quite a lot of people agree on that, and I think so too. But he is very weak, in a sense that his weakness is so big that like it can be easily exploited by his enemies, and so I think that the developers will probably change him very quickly in the next patch, maybe, to make him a bit, less weak, I guess, in the early games. So yeah, I did say I was going to update my Jumong guide after I realized that they're changing up Jumong and all of that. But I think I'll hold off on that for now. I will continue making my Rook guide and after the Rook guide would be a Freya guide. And once I feel like Jumong is in a rather stable spot and he wouldn't be changed, then I think I will come out with a updated Jumong guide. Next up we have Ashka. I think it is just a bug fix, so nothing much there. Because of the change to the stealth mechanics and the stealth abilities only go on cooldown when the invisibility effect ends. They just sort of changed a little bit on the cooldown and the duration and stuff. So I think not really much change here. So nothing big about Rook. Freya, the biggest change for Freya is that she no longer has the knockback when hitting enemies with her mouse one when they have static on them. So that's pretty big. Some say it's a buff because the knockback used to knock people away from Freya, so making it harder for her to hit them. So I guess it's yes and no, because the knockback was also really annoying that you can't do anything when she's actually hitting you. So we'll just have to see, but I mean Freya has always been pretty strong. I don't think this changes her much, I think. On to Jade. I think Jade, yeah, not much. A little bit of nerf to her Outlaw Battlerite, which I think is justified because it is very strong. And yeah, other than that, yeah, nothing much. Just a little bit of change because of the stealth mechanic change. Lucy got a tiny bit of buff. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. You increase the radius on her Q. That's about it. Yeah, nothing much to say about that. I think Lucy wasn't the strongest after the mouse one patch. I'm not sure if this will help her to become like super duper strong, but they are taking a bit of a extended look at Lucy because they say that she can easily become too powerful. So they're just being a bit careful with Lucy. I don't know why they say that, but when we get to Raygon and stuff like that, they just I didn't like the Raygon change. But let's just continue. Talking about Oldur now, his damage got reduced a bit on his E, which is I guess justified as well because it is a very powerful ability. It is an area of effect ability. It dealt 18 damage previously and now it does 16, which is okay. I think it's justified. Oldur did do quite a lot of damage, and I don't think this will kill him. But the bigger change is I think on his Petrify ability, his R ability, Stone Glass. So now he no longer instantly inflicts Petrify, he actually inflicts it after a 1 second delay. So the problem with this is that in emergency situations, like if you're 1 or 2 hits away from dying, you can no longer save yourself immediately with the Petrify. So that's one big thing. Another big thing is that because it's a debuff, it can be dispelled by all sorts of abilities. There are a lot of abilities that removes debuffs, like Shifu's ultimate, for example, and all of that. And then as simply as using an invincibility frame. So when you jump and stuff like that, typically you're invulnerable for a short while, and if you do jump at the right time, then you will not be petrified. So it makes it that much harder to petrify somebody. And they also reduce the knockback duration and the knockback distance. So I think he didn't really need to have both these changed. It makes it super hard to really use R reliably. Before this, his R is one of his escape abilities against melee champions, and now it's not really that great. So we will have to see how this really affects him. Yeah, I don't think the developers will sort of change their mind about this. I think they're mostly set on this, and so I guess Oldur just has to deal with it and play a little bit more cautiously, and he cannot overextend as much as he used to be able to. Moving on, we have Pestilence, and Pestilence, I think they nerfed a little bit on his mouse one because previously he moved really quickly and he dealt quite a lot of damage with his mouse one and healing as well. So they toned him down a little bit. And yeah, I think it's pretty welcome. Pestilence was quite strong in the previous patch, and so I think he's in a more balanced spot right now, so I'm quite okay with that. Moving on to Raygon. Now I really enjoy Raygon, but what they did to his whole kit effectively is just I don't think it was the best. First of all, they reduced his healing, which is okay. I guess he did have quite a lot of healing, but it's not crazy because he is a melee champion after all. So, like, you know, having a decent amount of healing is justified. But that's not the big thing. The biggest thing is his R. So now his R now deals 10 bonus damage when knocking enemies into walls instead of stunning them. So this is a big deal because, while yes, you know, stunning them for a short while only allowed you to hit them once. So, you know, if you manage to hit them into the wall, you got that 10 free bonus damage, as though you would just have hit them, you know, after you stun them. But the big thing is that when you stun someone, like they're disabled for a short while, it is easier for your teammates to land their abilities and all sorts of combo potential and stuff like that. And so I don't think that they should have removed his stun. While I know that his third round Battlerite was really strong because like it made him stun, like chain stun an enemy and, you know, deal lots of damage that way. But I think like the essence of the ability is no longer there. Like the R, his identity is, you know, he's able to stun enemies when they're backed up against the wall. So that's Ruh Kaan, right? And now he can no longer do that. So I don't think that was really the best way to do it. Like they could have just changed the third round Battlerite if they think it was too strong. Like making it so that the R dealt 10 bonus damage, make the 10 bonus damage part of the Battlerite instead of making him able to use R twice. I think that would be much better. But yeah, I'm sure they'll do something about Ruh Kaan as well. Right now he's just complete garbage. He's really not playable at all. Mostly because of this. The change to riposte is, I guess, kind of okay. Like it was really strong that it can counter all the counter abilities, basically, you know, all sorts of channeling abilities. And so I guess this is okay. What I think that they could have done is that instead of making it spin immediately after the Q effect ends, like they could let him control it, you know, make it so that he cannot recast his Q while the Q effect is still up, but let him control like when he wants to use the stun. Like I think that would be a lot more fair, especially with all these nerfs to Ruh Kaan. So yeah, Ruh Kaan is kind of shit right now, and hopefully they patch it soon. But yeah, I guess, you know, it did have his time, you know, his glory for a short while, but oh well. For a patch all about the whole, you know, this dragon theme and the whole Eastern theme, Ruh Kaan is, I guess he got a bit unlucky. Anyway, moving on to Shifu. Shifu's got quite a bit of buffs. They give him a bit more sustain once again, so, you know, a little bit more lenient when playing Shifu. They buffed up his space a little bit, they buffed up his Q a little bit, and I think he's definitely more viable now compared to the previous patch. I think he may be just a little bit too strong. They may have to tone him down a little bit in some aspects, but mostly I think he's quite okay. He is a pretty high skill floor champion to begin with, so making him a little bit over that balance level is, I guess, good to sort of promote, like, you know, so that even lousier players or, you know, weaker players can play him, I guess. So that's kind of okay. Moving on to Varesh. Now, the biggest thing about Varesh that I feel was, I think they changed his mouse one animation a little bit. It felt a little bit faster. It's not documented here, but it felt a little bit faster. I don't know why, but I definitely felt that way when I fought against Varesh and when I was playing with Varesh. But other than that, they changed up his EX mouse 2 and his R a little bit. I think the biggest thing is probably his R, because now it's no longer just another like Ruh Kaan's R, but now he actually dashes forward, and if he passes through somebody with like debuffs on them, oh, in fact, you don't even need any debuffs on them. You just, when you dash through any enemies, you spawn like an E ability right underneath them. So I guess that's pretty good. It certainly helps him be a little bit more aggressive, so that's quite good. So I think the change to Varesh is quite welcome, but I feel like he is kind of strong right now. like it's not mentioned here, but I feel like his mouse one ability, like, it's a lot faster. I don't know if it's just me. I know some of my friends felt it as well. But yeah, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so I think these are just some general updates. Nothing much here. So yeah, that's about all the changes in the 0.12 patch. And while I haven't had that much experience playing it, I only played the patch for about a few hours so far. But I think, yeah, most of the changes was quite okay. The only things I'm really unhappy about is, you know, Jumong's really weak at the start, and Raygon is quite shit right now. But other than that, I think it's okay. So we'll just have to see, you know, only time will tell. I'm pretty sure, like, maybe 80% sure that Jumong and Raygon will get a little bit of buff in the next patch to help them out a little bit, because right now I think they're a little bit too weak. Yeah, I think they just sort of went a bit too far with them. So yeah, let me know what you think about the changes. You know, let me know what you think about Jumong, Raygon, and you know, all of this. And yeah, should be coming out with my Rook guide next week, so you can look forward to that. The Jumong guide, the new Jumong guide, will have to wait until, you know, like until like I know that he won't be changed much in the coming weeks. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like, you know, comment, all the sort of stuff, and also check if you have been unsubscribed from the channel. I know a lot of YouTube channels complain, like people unsubscribing to them, like YouTube unsubscribing people from their channel for them. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But just check if, you know, if maybe something like that is happening. And so yeah, thank you very much for watching, and until next time guys, have a great day, keep gaming, stay chill, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.